see what.
Hello, hello. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. This is Rachel, your new mom coach and lactation consultant, and I'm so happy to have here with me Shardae Avent and Kaylin, because Shardae is a very fun client to work with. She's been through the Mother Baby Bond Foundation program, and I wanted to get her in here and share just a little bit about her journey. It's just been so much fun to work with her because she inspires me to be healthy and to be a really good mom. And it's just been really nice to have her in the community. She is caring and vivacious, and her kids are adorable and beautiful. So I just wanted to highlight you. Welcome, Shardae. Welcome, Kaylin.
Thank you.
It's just, we'll just have a quick chat. Oh, what happened? Where'd she go?
Of course, someone would try to. No, someone just tried to call. Let me put my do not disturb. I can do not disturb while we're on here. So it just when someone just tried to call. Hi, Rachel. Say hi.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us today.
Yeah, no, and it's so interesting because as I was putting in your bio, I'm like, what do I want to highlight? And one of the things that I think was really fun for us to discover was that since you were a NICU mom, well, you had a baby in the NICU, right? Something that you didn't realize was that some of that experience was still lingering in your body and kept you a little bit restricted. You had said rigid. And I was wondering, if you could share just a little bit about the transition that you had from where you were before till now, and how that's just different, because I don't think a lot of people, we don't shed light on this. And one thing that I do want to say, I don't have too much experience with the hospitals, because I work in private practice, but I hear stories. And so I know that our journey as women, whether it's, birthing or breastfeeding, it can get disturbed. I've heard women call, things traumatic. And so I was just curious. And so we need to shed light, and we don't, but let's do that.
Right.
Let's shed light on your experience in the NICU. And I know it was a good one, but it also then led you into some behaviors later on, months after, that you were surprised by. So if you could just shed some light on that, that would be awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you again for having us. And so my experience happened really out of the blue. I consider myself, pretty healthy for the most part. I'm considered geriatric in the eyes of doctors, but I'm not. I don't feel geriatric.
You don't like it.
After 35, you're geriatric. So Callan came 5 weeks. Well, he came at 35 weeks. I was in the hospital. I was put in the hospital right at the end of my 32nd week. And it was devastating because I intended on having a home birth with I have a midwife, and I had my birthing pool and everything ready. And he came unexpectedly, but I'm grateful that he's here and he's happy and healthy. But the experience I had was, I could say, a little traumatizing because I was afraid. But one thing I'm going to encourage women to do is to seek out professionals like yourself who are committed to women's health on a different level, because I had a midwife. I had a friend who was a doctor. Everyone don't have midwives and friends who are doctors who can help them advocate for themselves. And I think that's one of the biggest issues, is that you don't know how to advocate for yourself. You don't know what you can say or what you can't ask for, and you don't know your rights. So that helped me transition to having, a more positive experience. I was at a great hospital, but after a few weeks of him being in the neonatal care, I had like a lot of resentment towards myself just kind of thinking back on things like, did I do this? Should I have not done this? And I had a lot of pent up guilt.
Oh.
We already have mommy guilt, but then to have guilt on top of why did my child come early? And then you're asking the professionals, the doctors, who are
Mhm.
practicing, you're asking them for, sound advice. And honestly, they couldn't give me any. They didn't know why, they didn't know how my water burst early, but it like my sac
Mhm.
was leaking. So it was
Let me let me
punctured.
ask you
So
a question. So you had that experience. You went home, and your baby's beautiful, breastfeeding, and
mhm.
you felt really happy to have him. But when you were noticing, because this is what we uncovered, when you were noticing that some of that experience had limited you, talk about that aspect of it. How you kept.
um
Do you
So
understand?
it was limiting. Yeah, it was limiting because I think I allowed fear to come in, and the fear of what the doctors were saying in Med MD and Google, right? So
Mhm.
having outside opinions and information from people who only have one vantage point is
Mhm.
not helpful. So that's why you want to seek out someone like Rachel and a midwife and a doula and,
Mhm.
people who have experienced positive experiences in birthing, in lactation, and
Mhm.
breastfeeding, who can give you sound advice because they've helped hundreds of thousands, hundreds of other women. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I appreciate about Rachel. Not only is she a mother and she's done these things, but she has over 20 plus years of experience in 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 um in women health. What's the term, I guess, in helping mothers
Women's.
basically embrace women's health. Yeah. So um I always believe, we invest in ourselves in other ways, and this was one of the best investments I could have made for my family, myself, and my, maybe my grandchildren. You never know. But this is not just for me. I'm able to help other moms who may not be able to afford, seeking out help, or, I may get something from you, and I've gotten lots of information and tools that have helped me get past the guilt and
Mm.
reconnecting. So, I hope you talk about reconnecting with my husband, because that was one of the biggest things that this program also allowed me to do and see where I had blind spots that I
Mm.
was not expecting in learning in this program.
Wow, that's yes, and that is something that we cover, and in the time together, we do cover the most important things as you transition from being whether it's a woman from no babies to babies, or a woman from one baby to two or three. um, but this period, every time you have a baby, you're in a vulnerable state, your body's more open, and it's a transition that you need to make. So there's a lot of areas of your life that's going to be impacted by that, and in order to have that
Mhm.
balance that you were looking for, you really have to touch upon all of these things in your life. And I put in the comment just how confident you are, and I think that guilt that you had that kind of caused you to be cautious, and now you're more confident because you realize you know that you don't have to have that anymore. That's cleared through your body, and now he's totally resilient and he's doing so great. If you put your camera down a little bit, we could see his face. I don't know if you're doing that on purpose. I'm like, I want to see Kaylin. Hey, baby.
Say
So
hi.
yeah,
This
and
is how I have it how I have it posted. Let's see. Here we go. There we go.
so how to share a difference between like how a day went before we met, and then now where you're at now.
So, I was pumping all day, pumping all night like a cow.
Mm.
And I had this thing in my mind because I did pump a lot with my first son. And I did have quite a bit of oversupply, but I also learned that it was from inflammation from you. I didn't know that. Um,
Mm.
but that you questioned me in a sense that in a way that made me question why I was pumping so much. And I felt like, okay, I got to get breast milk. So I was stressing about that. So a day looked like me waking up, engorged almost,
Mhm.
and pumping for not 15, 20 minutes, but having a lot of milk, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
um to now exclusively breastfeeding, and I do pump sometimes now, and I'm about to pump a little bit more, because I
Nice.
know I'm right at the 5 month mark. But like, he is a look at him, look at this juicy baby.
Look at that.
I don't think I have a problem feeding
Look at
him.
him.
So
Mm-mm.
that's where we are now. He feeds and he sleeps well, and
Yeah.
sleeps through the night, and that's where we are now. So
Mhm.
um, I'm not stressing about my milk supply. I'm not stressing about pumping every 2 hours that I was advised from the lactation consultant in the hospital,
Mhm.
um, or every 4 hours for that matter,
Mhm.
because it's a daunting task. I'm already a mom, a wife, a business owner. I have a lot going on, and to just add that too is just a lot. So I'm not stressed about that anymore. I'm not stressed about my supply, and I'm not stressed about being able to provide for him.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's important. Thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful that you were kind of stressed and inflamed too, because when you have stress and
Yeah,
the stress can lead to cortisol and
yeah,
inflammation. And so when we really take a look and break down, okay, what do we need to avoid during eating during this time? Maybe you can add it on
hmm,
later, but what are we going to avoid and what are we going to add in? And you already had such a base knowledge, such a widespread knowledge of food, right? So it's fun to work. You would tell me, "Oh, I have this thing. Have you tried this?" And like the pea proteins, and I'm like, "No," but that was really fun to go back and forth. And it's because we just made a few tweaks and got rid of the
hmm,
stress, and your inflammation went
hmm,
down, and you could focus on other things like stretching, moving, working out, balancing your life with baby and your husband, and also work. I know you're working, so there was just a need for getting rid of that stress and that
right.
identity of, well, I'm a NICU mom now and I'll always be a NICU mom. But that was a choice. You said, no, I don't have to just have that identity. That was just then. And now look at him, look at me. And now
Right.
you could say, we moved on from that. And we're not no longer that, something else. Now you're confident, empowered, and you trust your intuition. And, that
Yes.
feeling of empowerment came on your own. Like in, you live in Georgia,
South Carolina
South
and
Carolina,
Tennessee.
Tennessee. I'm,
Yeah. You
I'm like
got me right in the
one of
middle.
the southern states. And I'm like and I'm in Massachusetts, so we never met. And a lot of things, I just want to distill that um, in the minds of so many new moms, they think I have to have an in-person lactation consultant.
Right.
And what happens is that when they are in the same place with the lactation consultant, it works well. But then when they go home, it falls apart. And so one of
Hmm.
my pieces of my work that I love so much is that you do it so that you feel empowered. You know what to do. You trust your intuition. And it works no
Hmm.
matter if you're with me through Zoom or you're with me or you're not, or you're at home. Because I
Right.
really want you to know exactly what to do and trust that intuition. And I like to say, this is so silly, but I like to say, you cannot trust a leaky gut. And so we have to get
Okay.
yourself, you know what I mean? You have to get yourself
That's
healthy.
real.
That is for real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so share if you can. Our first call we had, it was I think the last day of the year, close to the last day of the year in 2022. And you and I just
Hmm.
had a call. And, you had just said, you were talking about your struggles and what you wanted. And just how important was that call where you said yes to yourself?
Okay. So, um, it was important for me. I told I told Rachel, I was like, well, I'd already said yes in my mind before I even talked to her. Just by reading, the content on your website and stuff, and the information you sent, and like checking out your videos, and I just liked your vibe for one. But for me, I think that we do so much investing in ourselves, like for the material gain of things, but sometimes we don't value that same investment in our children. We look at it as, oh, I can invest in them later. But I feel like as a
Mhm.
mom, as a business owner, and I love self development, I know how important it is
Mhm.
to invest where you care, right? You've got to plant the seeds in order to reap a harvest, right?
Yep.
So this
Yep.
is one of my my seeds right here. So I have to invest in my seed and my soil. And
Yes.
I was excited in talking with you, and you just gave me, honestly, in the conversation, you gave me information that gave me confidence that when I was done with your program, that I
Mhm.
would be equipped. And
Mhm.
that's what I wanted. That's all I wanted, was the information to be equipped so I can execute and just,
Mhm.
live my life by my own design and
That's
not by default.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah. And it's the tools that we set you up with now so you can create the blueprint for the mom that you want to be 20 years from now. Because
Absolutely.
it does start now. And what I hear from a lot of women
Hmm.
is, where were you when I had my baby? Because they
Yeah.
are still telling me they're regretting things, right? And you don't want to have that experience, right? And it's so interesting because we don't have a crystal ball. We can't say like, well, if you don't do this, you'll have this, right? But if you don't lay that foundation, you never entrust your intuition, you don't nurture that, and
Hmm.
then it slowly and slowly and slowly can eat away at you. And so I think that's why I created this, because it's to have that foundation, that support, that community for women who
Yes.
are having their first baby, because our society doesn't do that. Like in India,
Hmm.
for example, they have, structures, family set up so that the women are given massages every day for 40 days, 40 days, 49. It's like the Bible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's part of their culture, and the baby too. So that first call is like for you
Wow.
to know that that this is going to help you for the rest of your mothering experience is important. But what's more important is that you said yes. You were like, this is what I need to do. I don't want to have any
Right.
doubt. And you were already you're a second time mom, So
Yes.
yes, your first is 5 years old. So it had been a while, but you're still, you have the experience. So I wanted to let everybody know that, they also have the opportunity, just like you had, to go on this call with me. And the call, I do these calls for no charge, because I think it's so important to know that there's a lifeline out there, and
Right.
to so there's the link. You can go and you can book a call with me, because there is that, if there isn't out there. So I created that. For every woman to be able to just have an opportunity to see how their experience can be different, because
Right.
so many women are struggling, whether they're struggling with not knowing that babies don't come with a guidebook, they're in pain, they don't have milk, or the babies are really, really fussy. What's happening now in our society is that babies are really, really, you know, they're born with some inabilities, and to do that on your own is just, it's just not the way motherhood was never meant to be done alone, for sure.
Absolutely.
So if you're
That's
feeling like you're,
definitely true.
definitely, yeah. So, oh my goodness, he's been so amazing, just sitting there. He's such good disposition. Hi,
Thank
Caleb.
you.
Hmm.
Say
Well, he takes
hi.
after his mom.
Hello.
That's
I
for sure.
appreciate that. If
Yeah.
I could say anything, I know we're wrapping up, but if
Hmm.
I could say anything to moms out there and women, even women who um, are supporters of moms, like this would be great for you as well, because you know having this information, you could really save a life, because as a woman, there's so much that we don't converse about. We don't have conversations about that could help our relationships. And I know one thing we didn't touch on was the relationship aspect, but this program really helped me understand that the connection between my husband and I was just as important as the connection between my baby and I. And I really appreciate you, um, just just you giving us some of the tools. Every tool is not meant to be used at a certain time, but we've been using some of the tools and it's really helped us. And I remember with my first son, I felt that disconnect, but now I feel a lot more connected, even though he's not here as often because he travels for work. He's a contractor. But I really appreciate, I honestly appreciate that, honestly, the most out of everything is the connection that I have with my husband again. So thank you so much.
Oh, hallelujah. That brings me so much joy. That is my passion, is because I know that the babies take up so much effort. So it's like a triangle, right? It's caring for yourself, it's caring for the baby, and it's caring for your spouse and that relationship. And without that balance, there's a disconnect. And and I thank you for saying that. And that is part of what we do. And I really am so happy to hear that you got that as well, because it can't be lopsided. We have to have that balance.
Absolutely. Thank
So
you so much.
thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sharing. And you look beautiful. Have a great rest
Thank
of
you.
your day, and I'll talk to you
You
soon.
too. Say bye-bye. I'm
Bye,
going to
Kate.
eat now.
Go eat,
He's
baby.
queuing. He's hungry.
He's hungry. Oh, take care. Yeah. So if you wanted to have that call with me that Shardae had for herself, just go to simpsonlactationservices.com/chat, and I will talk to you on the call. We can talk about, everything that she just mentioned. I love that triangle aspect. How do you care for yourself, your baby, and your spouse in relationship, in the way that's balanced, so that you don't feel overwhelmed, that you don't feel like, stressed out, and you are doubting yourself. So I definitely, that's there for you. And all you have to do is click the link, and you can book a call, and I will call you at the time that you choose. And I look forward to talking with you, and have a gorgeous day. Thank you for being here today. And I will see you next Wednesday. And I'll sign off for now. Bye.